in awareness of what's happening to take the game to these people. Like I said earlier, instead of standing there saying, what's the next move of the manipulators? Who cares? What's our next move in relation to the manipulators? And I feel that, the more that we kind of uncover the individuals involved, instead of protesting outside the White House and protesting outside Parliament in London, which is basically protesting at the oil rags of politicians and not at the engineers that are behind them, we ought to start more and more locating these people and confronting them who are behind the politicians, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and all the rest, the George Soroses, the Zbigniew Brzezinskis, and all these people. There's a great list of them, and the information's there now. To track them down when they're operating in public and just keep at it. They got on a plane to Denver. Hey, you left our friends in New York. Here we are now. We got some questions for you. And start to make them think, what is the next move of the people? Now the dynamics has changed. And this is what they're terrified of. People see strutting, arrogant, all-powerful people. You know what I see? I see frightened little boys. And you know the bully in the playground? The bully in the playground, overwhelmingly, over and over again, I've found in my life, is actually a coward. The way the bully bullies and imposes his will on all the other kids in the playground is, here we go again, the perception of the other kids that the bully has power and strength and great courage. I had an experience when I was a kid when a bully and a gang turned on me in the playground, and they were terrorizing the playground in a school in my hometown. And I had a word with my father. He said, look, Dave, he says, the only way you're going to overcome this is you're going to get the biggest one, get the bully, and take him on. And they came to me one afternoon, and they said, right, you, the gang and him, right, you, in the toilets, we're going to sort you out. They were going to beat me up. That's what they were going to do. And instead of running, as they thought I was going to do, I said to them, all right, then, let's go. And I went in these toilets at the school with his gang behind him, and he was trying to beat me up. He didn't, because it was all a facade. He didn't know what to do, because now the mouth has got to deliver. He couldn't deliver, and they all left, all of them. Never landed a bloody punch on me, and they left. And after that, no more problem from the bullies, because they'd been found out what they really are. And that's what this network of Illuminati families are. They're frightened bullies, and their only way that they can prevail is persuading us they have power. They don't. When we unite and stop being in awe and stop thinking little me and realize that we can do anything we like. And the reason most people don't do anything is on one level, yes, okay. They think they don't have the power to do it. But on another level, they're finding excuses not to do it. It's not that they can't do it. People are doing it all the time. These two young fellas that were in my hotel room here a few minutes ago from We Are Change, they go out and confront these people. And they're taking this next stage forward of, instead of standing on the other side of the street waiting for the next move, they go and make their next move. And this is the spirit, this is the lack of intimidation that we need. And the more people do it, of course, the more people will see it's possible, and this whole thing will go on. Because we have a choice. We can go on as we have been, and thinking the powers in the peak of the pyramid that we're holding up there, and in which case this whole control system will move on and move on and move on. Or we can see where the real power lies and express it and take it back. And that includes people in uniform. And it includes people in dark suits, administrative positions within the system, who, through compartmentalization, have no idea that they are playing a part every day in enslaving their own children and grandchildren. Where you've got people in uniform that think they're fighting for America when they're fighting for the very force that is going to, or is intent on destroying America. At the moment, the United States is being used to destroy the United States, because when you have a world government dictatorship, you cannot have superpowers that have the military and financial might to say no to you. Otherwise, it's not a dictatorship. And what we're seeing now is the armed forces of the United States being stretched to the limit, being used for wars of acquisition and all the rest of it, but not on behalf of the United States, on behalf of the force, the network that controls the United States and controls London and controls the European Union, etc., controls Israel. And the economic might of the United States is being systematically undermined, because they cannot have America as a superpower and a world government dictatorship. They're using America to destroy America. And you in uniform, and you in the dark suit professions administering this stuff into being every day, you are playing your part, not in serving America, but in destroying America on behalf of these insane people. It's time to take our power back, the time for Americans to take America back, and the British to take Britain back, etc., from this network, this spider's web of interconnected secret society networks that have their tentacles, their whatever symbolism you want to use, in every single country. When people in Britain are trying to stop the Orwellian state coming in there, and people in America are doing it, and people in Australia or Africa are doing it, the people they're challenging is the same global network. We're all in this together globally as a human race. It's time to say enough. And there's that great line, if I can remember it, from a British poet called Shelley, which I've used in my latest book, where the poem goes, "Rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep has fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few." When we figure that out, there goes their way of life. Is Alex still sitting there? While he's coming back, I say I'm talking in San Francisco next Saturday, if anyone wants to go there, for 8 hours, where I connect the dots. And when you connect the dots, my goodness me, what appears is an elephant in the living room.
David?
It's so obvious when the dots are connected. Yes, Alex?
I was just sitting there in the control room listening to you and thinking, I don't think anybody's ever had David Icke on the radio and just sat back and listened to him. We're going to have you 20 minutes in the next hour, or even longer if you want, but now you've got dinner and other events coming up. But this is a special 27-hour live transmission we're doing. So that was quite a close that you made on that point. I was sitting there in my chair in the control room going, that sounds like a closing line. But, you know, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have miles to go before I sleep. It was the best of times, the worst of times. No army can stop an idea whose time has come. And we are at that fork in the road, that crossroads. There's been some big developments with UFOs. I was wrong earlier today because it hadn't happened yet when I said, well, we heard UFOs were going to arrive over major U.S. cities yesterday, but it didn't happen. And I think the fact that you have these military people and others saying when they would arrive, and now they arrive, this is clearly Project Bluebeam and what Kissinger and Reagan and others talked about, an alien invasion unifying the world. They're definitely balloon testing. They are sending up test balloons to see if they should go with the fake alien invasion. I want to talk about that with you because you were just on last week and agreed to come on for this special live commercial-free transmission. But again, I wanted to give you 30 minutes uninterrupted. So spend 7 more minutes, David, on standing up to bullies, as you said, and what We Are Change. And I'm so honored. I talked to Luke today when he was in your hotel room, and he talked about how my ideas, and it just shows you never imagine these things will happen, led to We Are Change. And when he got kicked out of 9/11 Truth in New York for not supporting an attempted UN globalist takeover of it to make it all leftist, that he got kicked out, and I supported him and said, keep confronting people, keep doing what you're doing, and they did it. Be the change you want to see in the world, like Mahatma Gandhi said, and now there are, 500-plus chapters worldwide. They're confronting Al Gore and globalists everywhere they go, and it's spreading. Other groups are now imitating it. It shows how, like a pebble in the pond, the effects it has. So speak some more about that. Then we're going to come back to 20, 30 more minutes with you and then let you go, talking about other news and things that are happening right now. But, yeah, this is the first time ever that I've shut up for 25 minutes while somebody's talking. But David, please continue. You've got the floor.
Well, the thing is that there's never nothing we can do. And I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do.
Resistance is victory. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's used as a constant excuse to do nothing. And, when we come into some kind of understanding of what's going on in the world, that comes with responsibility. And that responsibility is to then say, how can I contribute to making a difference to what I now know is going on? And so many people, I see them, Alex, on the forums. There's some great work that happens on the forums, and some great research done and communicating of information. And I'm not knocking it. I have a forum on my own website, and it's great. But there is a forum mentality, in so many people, where they come into some kind of awareness of what's going on. And their contribution to it is basically slagging each other off on forums about who knows more about this than somebody else. And you think, well, is that the only thing you can think of doing? Now you realize the kind of problems that we're facing. And a lot of it is because they want to avoid stepping out and actually getting involved in a way that there might be some consequences for them. They don't want to go there. And if we think that sort of we're going to bring this to an end without there being challenges, well, forget it. But what you do is when the challenge comes, you meet it, you face it, and there's always a way around it. I've had so many efforts to bring me down over the years. There's one that's bubbling in the background now, which may become public at some point. But what you do is you've okay, here's a problem, here's a barrier. Now, I've got a choice here. I can lie down and play dead and say, there's nothing I can do, or I can say, okay, there is something I can do because I'm not going to be stopped from doing what I'm doing. Therefore, this problem has a solution, but there's going to be a way around it. And you find one. And then there's another challenge, and then you meet that, another challenge, and you meet that. And while you're meeting these challenges, you're moving forward. You're expanding what you're doing. You're making a bigger and bigger contribution. And, none of us involved in this were kind of born into or walked into a situation where it was all there and nothing had to be done. There was no challenges. When I started on this journey 20 years ago, I started in football terms about 60-0 down. I couldn't walk down any street in Britain at the time without being laughed at by most of the people. I was subject to constant ridicule. A comedian only had to say my name, and no joke necessary, and the audience were laughing. I would, stop my car at traffic lights, and the family in the next car would be laughing at me. I went through all this massive ridicule. It seemed that there was no way back from that. But if you keep speaking your truth, and you will not take no for an answer in terms of doing what you want to do, and you know to be right, you don't go around trying to explain yourself and justify to yourself. Here's some information. Make of it what you will. If you think I'm crazy, well, good luck. I don't care, because I'm going to keep communicating what I know to be right. And what happens if what you're saying has validity, and anyone exposing this thing now, it clearly has validity, because it's blatantly obvious what's happening to more and more people. When you speak your truth and you keep speaking it, if it has validity, eventually it will be seen to be so. And but if you think, well, if I say this, what will they think of me? What are the consequences for me? Well, there's another question. What are the consequences of not doing it? And read 1984, multiply it by 1,000, read Brave New World, multiply it by the same, and then you'll get an idea of what happens if we don't do something. So if we speak our truth, of course people are going to call you're crazy. They're going to say, ridicule you. So what? If you don't speak your truth now, it's never going to be seen eventually to have validity, and therefore nothing's going to change. And so